Okay, so good morning, class, and welcome to your entrepreneurial management class. So today we'll cover entrepreneurial management in the global economy. So some of the topics that we're covering are the future of entrepreneurial management, and the global economy. No? So how um, each of these concepts affect one another, challenges and opportunities. We'll also discuss some sociological theories and give examples that are really known in the Philippine market across all these different topics. Okay, so emerging trends shaping entrepreneurial management. No? So number one, we have digital transformation. So one good example of digital transformation is, the electronic receipts. No? So before, whenever we go to a department store, they would always provide you with printed documents. No? Now, even the BIR would accept digital copies of the receipts. No? So provided there are uh, it contains information that's required in the filing. Next, artificial intelligence and automation. No? I keep mentioning about AI. AI is the future. No? So as early as now, you should be aware of different AI tools, no, that are available with you. And most of the time, they are really free of charge. No? So one good example is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a really powerful AI tool, no, that I personally use even at work or in my personal life. No. So instead of moving into like searching via Google, no, I use ChatGPT. No. So there's free version and there's also a premium version. No. So if you subscribe, no, so you can actually put a number of questions in a given day. No? So if you're just in free version, no? So it's limited, but it's okay. Also automation. No? So we have this good example of this is process robot. No? So a process robot basically would learn how you do your job, and then from there, he would perform it, no, based on how he learned the process, no, basically it's looking at your desktop, no. So one good example of this, no, is the project that I have spearheaded back when I was still with Xerox, no? So I'll give you an example, a brief story about it, no. So at the time we're processing journal entries, no, 1,000 of them on a daily basis. So each accountant would go to the system, put the debit and credit, put the amount, the description, the reason for putting those journal entries in. No? So it takes about 2.5 minutes per journal entry. So imagine that, no? So just do the math, no? So if you have 1,000 journal entries each day, each journal takes about 2.5 minutes to process, no? So that's really a huge amount of time. Now we're able to use Process Robot to automate that, no? So imagine from 2.5 minutes down to few seconds, no? So I think it's 5 seconds stop. No? So imagine the amount of savings that we have generated from coming up with an automation process using the process robot. Okay. So like I said, in your studies, no, so it's also good that you're exploring AI tools. No? So for example, you want to read more about emerging trends shaping the entrepreneurial management. All you have to do is type in on ChatGPT as about these emerging trends. No? And then from there, you can actually get a lot of information. So the um, there's really a lot of opportunities for you to learn because everything is online now. Everything is in the web, no? Unlike before, you have to go to the library, you have to make sure look for a printed material. So everything is beyond, I mean, everything is within your reach, no? Next, we have remote first organization. So ito, like I said, the reason why I'm still with MLQU is because of well, uh, the ability of MLQU to still get remote access, no? So in my case, I can only accommodate remote teaching, no? So just like what we're what like what we have done, no, for the past months. Well, location is a reason, no, for it, but there's also other factors, no. So like also in my work, no, I also do work from home arrangement, no. So the company that I'm with currently, it's a US based entity. Uh, it's based in San Francisco, California. Uh, they they established their uh, operations, the accounting operations here in the Philippines. That team I'm overseeing, no? So that's why we are on remote setup. Okay, platform-based economies, no? So when we say platform-based economies, these are actually interconnected services, no, being offered by a a platform, no? So one good example of this is Grab. Grab Philippines or even Foodpanda, no? So in Grab Philippines, as you know, they offer uh, food deliveries, they offer transport, no? They even offer courier services, no? So you can do all of those services in one platform. Okay? So I think Lala Move, on the other hand, also uh, provides such services like Grab, no? But I don't think they still do food delivery, no? So that's something we can check, no? So let's try it, no? Let's try ChatGPT. You can give it a try, no? And look whether Lalamove um still offers food delivery, no? So as far as I know, they don't. Okay, so we have sustainability and circular business models, no? So sustainability refers to practices that meet the present needs without harming the ability of the future generation to meet theirs, no? So basically, when we're talking about sustainability, it talks about three pillars, no? So we've discussed this before, no? So just to refresh our minds, no? So these are environmental, social, and economic. Now, a circular model is a business and production approach that aims to eliminate waste and keep materials in use for as long as possible, no? So um, instead of the traditional linear model like take, make, use, and dispose, circular model follows design, use, reuse, repair, remanufacture, recycle, and return to the system, no? So the goal is zero waste and maximum resource efficiency, no? So it's really good, and it has a lot of potential to succeed, no? Especially that organizations right now, they're really keen to partnering with this type of organizations, no? So organizations that really care for the environment and not just to, uh, make profits, no? So uh, one good example of that is a product as a service, no? So instead of selling a product, companies would rent or lease it, no? So um, eh, one good example is leasing printers or air conditioners or even office equipment, no? So it's also becoming a trend right now that you will rent office space, no? So you don't have to build your own, you just have to rent um, a space if needed, no? So like KMC in Makati and in BGC, no? So like for example, people from the US, from our company would visit the Philippines. So instead of coming up, or instead of having their own office, our own office here in the Philippines, we just simply partnered with KMC. No? So KMC basically they offered uh, space for us on the need basis. No? So we just have to make sure that we pre-book prior to going to their sites. Okay. Oops. Okay, so technology as a driving force. So AI and ML decision. No? So when we say ML, it's machine learning. Okay. So artificial intelligence and machine learning decision making refers to the process where a computer uses data and algorithms to analyze information, recognize patterns, and choose the best action or pattern action or answer. No, so IoT, it's the Internet of Things and real-time monitoring. So blockchain-enabled transactions and these cloud-based operations. No? So a good example of this are Gcash and Sprout Solutions. So if you look up for Sprout Solutions, basically this is an HR platform, no? So human resource platform which caters to payroll services and other admin related services. No? So again, technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So it's really key to set success, no, for different organizations. So like for example, Gcash. So it's very powerful. It gained popularity during the pandemic time. No? At that time, they made sure that the platform is open to everyone. No? They don't charge. So soon as they built um, their users, no, at that time, now they're charging a minimal amount, no. So, but still, it's a pretty strong business and organization because it caters to the needs of the Filipinos for online payment solution. So future business models. No? So we have subscription models. No? So the likes of Netflix. No? So I just learned this morning. I read the news. Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers. No? So Warner Brothers basically owns HBO, the DC. No? Um, So it's now owned by Netflix, no? So imagine uh the reach that Netflix has right now, acquiring Warner Brothers, no? Digitally enabled small medium enterprises, no? So even the small entities, no, like the Sari Sari store, if you notice, they're now offering GCash, no? So QR code, no? So sometimes they act like a bank, no? So they are offering cash in and cash out via GCash and just putting a small service fee. Global remote teams, I think we've discussed this in detail, no, in earlier in and in our previous discussion. No? Now, in terms of ecosystem partnership, this is actually, different different organizations living within the same ecosystem. No? So it refers to collaborative relationship between multiple organization, companies, or stakeholders that work together to create value. They share resources and strengthen each other's capabilities like members of an ecosystem. No? So uh, I'm not sure if you can recall, but during my early days as accountant, I was connected with Shell. No, Shell is an oil manufacturing company here in the Philippines. At that time, we were partnering with Petron and Chevron. Basically, um, we own. uh, a depot, no? So where we store crude oil. So instead of building uh, their own depot, so what they did is they made sure that one of them has a depot in certain locality. Then from there, it will be they will charge fees, no? So for example, in Manila, Shell owns a depot. Petron and Chevron will use the same depot for a fee. So it's also the same like in Mindanao or in Visayas where Chevron or Petron respectively may own their own sites, no? So it's an ecosystem partnership where they just pay, no, for the services or for the rental of those depot, no? Um, yeah, so that's one good example of ecosystem. So in the Philippines, Maya and Beans PH. So they also follow these future business models. So entrepreneurship as an economic driver, no? So when we say economic driver, it helps boost the economy of the country, no? So job creation. Obviously, entrepreneurship, this is really becoming a strong partner of the government in terms of making sure that our economy remains strong, no? So we create job, no? So for example, the likes of franchising where I'm into, no? Um, we we provide jobs, no? So like for example in Parañaque, they actually require that you should hire people from the community first, no? So it's also promoting local economy, so boosting local economy. Innovation, no? So when we say innovation, we keep on improving, changing. It doesn't have to be really massive, no? So the example that I used earlier about innovating the way we process journal entries in accounting, no? So uh, reducing basically the processing time from 2.5 minutes to 5 seconds. Global market access. Again, this is becoming a trend, no? Especially with the advent of the internet where everyone has reach. Industry clustering, no? So when we say clustering, it's basically grouping industry, no? So for example, uh, one provider, one good example of this is in supermarket, no? So as you know, in supermarket, there's really a lot of players there, no? Right now, industry clustering basically would mean they're partnering with one another to make sure that the value chain is intact and to make sure that they, you know, provide solution or services at a minimal cost. No, good example of this in the Philippine setup would be the BPO startups and MedGrocer. Globalization and market access, no? So class, when we talk about globalization, it means penetrating also the global market, no? So we're talking about global customers, digital export, global supply chains. This one class, no? So rags to riches. If you're a fan of BTS, which I'm sure you are, they actually partnered with the BTS brand. They partnered with BTS. No? So they offered merchandise. No? So when BTS had their concerts here in the Philippines, they actually uh, set up a store in Mall of Asia. It's just a pop-up store, no, but it's only available during the days before or weeks. I think for 2 weeks only, no, 2 weeks before the actual concert. So Rags to Riches, basically they came up with a purple bag. No, it has different styles, no? And then partnered with the BTS merchant. No? So one bag I remember because my aunt really is a fan of BTS. She asked me to buy two and then sent it to her in the US. No? So I think it costs 14,000 each bag. So, but Rags to Riches is actually a Filipino company. No? But because of the global reach, because of this partnership, it became really known, no? For its craft, no? So Lazada and Shopee sellers, obviously, you're very familiar with these platforms, and uh, you can actually buy anything, no? In the platform, and sometimes, no, not sometimes, but most of the times, products are coming from different parts of the world, no? So like in China, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, no? Especially if you're looking to buy gadgets, no? So most of the time stores are based in Hong Kong or Japan. So Filipino startups competing globally, no? So again, regional expansion. No? So for Philippines, when we say regional expansion, it's actually within the Southeast Asian region. No? So like for example, one good initiative of this is making sure that the CPA license, Certified Public Accountant license here in the Philippines is also recognized in different countries within Southeast Asia. And that's why they come up with ASEAN Certified Practicing Accountant. No, so ACPA. You can check that out in ChatGPT or in Google uh, to learn more about that. No? But basically, it's saying that our license here in the Philippines, if you have a CPA license in the Philippines, you can also practice the profession in other Southeast Asian nation. No? So that's actually a good indicator that they're really um, expand, no, our reach within the Southeast Asian countries. So we have foreign VC investment. No? So VC is venture capital. No? So it means that money invested by VCs or venture capital firms from another country into a local startup or business. No? So these companies actually um, they're very focused on high growth startups, no? Especially in tech, innovation, or scaling businesses. No? So um, why why does startups want foreign venture capital investment? First of all, because they have access to bigger funding, they have global connections and networks, and the expertise from experienced investors. No? Government support, no? So, in order for us to penetrate in the region or in different parts of the world, government support is also important, no? So I can't think of anything here in the Philippines, but for example, in Korea, uh, the very reason why K-pop is so strong, it's really a worldwide brand, is because the Korean government supports it, no? So they're also part of um making sure that they have global reach. They're partnering with Netflix, or they're working with different brands, no? So they offer um exceptions, no? Exemptions to different taxes just to make sure that this K-pop became a worldwide sensation, and it did, no? So uh different examples are rate deals and education.ph. Okay. So key challenges, no? So going digital or going global can also pose different challenges to the organization, especially uh if you have not analyze, the risks being present globally. And so it takes a lot of preparation, takes a lot of analysis. No? So going global mean you have to make sure that you have the resource. No? So you have to look at the market volatility, access to capital, talent retention. What if you have talents here in the Philippines and they don't want to move abroad? No? So there are also cases like that. And if you want to hire people abroad, the chances that you'll be paying more, no? Is there. Regulatory issues. So making sure that your products and services do abide with different laws and regulations abroad, no? So especially if you're selling food, it has to be a halal. If you're planning to set up your business in a Muslim country, then we have global competition. As you know, globally, there are also different players already. Plus, wait lang. Naririnig ko yung pusa ko nag-aaway. Just pause for a second. Sasawayin ko lang na maigi. Okay. So major opportunities, no? So now, previously we talked about the challenges. Now there's e-commerce, fintech, sustainability, and agri-tech, no? So agri-tech especially, it's making sure that you have the power. I think I'm still sharing, no? Okay. Okay. So managing risk and uncertainty, no? So like I said, being present globally could entail a lot of challenges and risks, no? And how to mitigate that. So we have scenario planning. So come up with different scenario where you think your business can survive and fail. No? So for those scenarios that you think your business will fail, you need to plan ahead. Lean startup. No? So when we say lean, it's basically making sure that your process is streamlined. No? So uh, eliminate you eliminate different process that are not really needed. And then there's experimentation. There's data-driven decisions. No, example of these are SMEs, no, small medium enterprises shifting online. Okay, so social capital theory. Now, social capital theory relies on networks and relationship. It is also based on trust. Uh, Trust culture, no? So good example of this is different family-owned business networks like Jollibee, no? So when we say social capital, it's basically uh, you're bound with making sure that you're bound with networks and relationship between your partners and different industry players, and it's based on trust. And that's why, a handshake agreement between these organizations are enough. No? They don't really need to have to sign any agreements. No? Just simply simple handshake will make sure that the business rolls forward. Next, we have this institutional theory. So institutional theory, it's basically looking out for regulations, cultural norms, education, and set industry standards. So for example, we have this DTI Go Negosyo Centers. Cultural factors. So again, good example of this are, Filipino creativity, our resilience, and global exposure. No? So examples of these are the OFW founded businesses. Like I'm not sure if you're seeing this in TikTok, no, but there's a food stall in the US. They're catering to different uniformed officers, no. So they're making lumpia, adobo. So they cook Filipino food and sell it in the street, no. So it has a huge following now. Again, making sure that uh it's staying competitive, and at the same time the rich, no? So they're now expanding their business in the US. Social construction of markets, no? So perception driven value and social influence, no? So when we say perception driven, it's actually how you perceive this thing to be. For example, when milk tea becomes a trend before, no? So it originated in Taiwan, and then when it became a trend, there's actually different stores popping up, no? In the community and even in different malls. No? It's also the same with samgyeopsal. No? So it's basically the perception of unlimited eating, no? Buffet, and also local skincare brands, no? So social influence, especially with the advent of internet right now in different social media platforms, it's becoming really a trend, no? So to follow these influencers, as we call them influencers, they partner with different brands, no? So in fact, some of them they call themselves CEO, no? So if you're familiar with those terms and those trends in the social media network. So identifying and evaluating opportunities, no? So in order for different organizations to do that, they have to do market research. And so when we say market research, we need to identify who are our target customers. So where do we set up our location? What are our brands? What would be our value proposition? So validations, making sure that we have accounted for these different types of um, marketing arrangements. No? So forecasting is making sure that we forecast. No? So for example, uh, you're planning to build a VA or virtual assistant firm. No? So if you're targeting, say, a certain state in the US, you have to forecast how many clients in the US you will need to accommodate. And then from there, you can build your team, no, from ground up. Competitor analysis, no? So we have data available online. So you just make sure that you um, also look into that, no? So when is the peak season? When is it not, no? Make sure that you also plan ahead. So good example of that in the PH setting is Kumu opportunity spotting. So managing high performing teams. Now again, class, no? When you go global, obviously you have your teams here in the Philippines. You would have your teams also based in different parts of the globe. So leadership, cross-cultural management, no? So sometimes the way you manage your people here in the Philippines would not be the same when you're managing people from abroad. No? That's why remote coordination is very key. No? So good example of that here in the Philippines is where uh, my company, no? So like I said, we are a hybrid PH startup teams. No? So hybrid basically is uh, some of your people would be remote, some of them would be in the office. No? So uh, our organization is hybrid because in the Philippines, we're all remotely working. But in the US, especially the leadership and management team, they're actually required to be um, present in the office. No? So we have an office in San Francisco. Okay. So building entrepreneurial agility. No? So lean operations, prototyping, innovation, culture. So we keep talking about being innovative. So um, having a continuous improvement mindset. No? So PH example of this would be the QBO accelerator startups. No? So QBO is QuickBooks Online. No? So if you're not familiar with QBO, this is actually an accounting system being used by small and medium enterprises. Okay, so for my last slide, some key takeaways. So we're now in a state where we are tech-driven future. Global opportunities are present. Sociological influences are available, and